Kevin, I was just telling Jason, I went ahead and turned this back on that way that the stream, so that people over on YouTube had something to point us back over here. I left something out of the fridge that I got to go put up. And but if you guys want to put some notes down on here, or just talk, I'll be back in just a minute or two. Looks like William's not back yet. All right, welcome back.
Sorry,
Oh, that's fine.
trying to explain Creative Commons to my wife.
All right, so I mentioned this earlier, but probably multiple times. But I think the sort of the basic thing is we need folks to like step up and pick like a thing that they're gonna do. I mean, like, you know, he says Stovall says he likes doing things, but like, what are the things? Like, we gotta have like people that are gonna own stuff, whatever that stuff is. You know, because then once we have people that are owning things, I can go find other people to go own other things. But if we're all just sort of like scattered around doing our own thing without talking to each other, we haven't really solved anything. So I mean, I think basically, like, we have constituents, and this is something we talked about at the beginning. Some of these are gonna overlap, in a variety of ways, but we need people to just let's look out for, I think, podcasters and net labelists, they kind of fall under the curators, so. I'm not wedded to these groups necessarily. These are the ones that come into my head, but maybe it's like by technology, maybe there's other ways to break things up too, but I don't know. I mean, this is one thing where, like, if somebody else wanted to take over the monthly show, instead of me doing that, then that would be another way that, like, we have a person on a task. So I guess that's sort of the overarching theme, is to find people for different tasks.
Right.
I've asked a couple people about the musician stuff. People don't want to have, take the time to do it. And so
I feel like we have to play to what people are already doing to some degree. Like, I don't know, like Tom's got the podcast that he's doing. And so, I don't know. So he's already kind of reaching out to musicians in some sense, but he's not, because he's not really tied into what we're doing. So,
right. I mean,
and so, like, I don't know.
yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I think we kind of just come back to the, not enough time situation.
Yeah, people in time.
And then, so, we got to figure out, like, what the next jump off point is. And in, net label day, or net label week could be that jumping off point if we want to wait that long. Or we could do the monthly show and, see where that takes us, as far as bringing people in.
Right. So this was the other question. I guess as stakeholders is a good time to talk about it. This is the time to talk about it. If we reach out to them, what are we asking of them?
If we reach out to who?
Reach out to anybody. So if we reach out to musicians, what I'm trying to figure out is, like, if we would want them to be, like, is there an email list that we would want? Do we want to do an email? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, how would it be that we would feel like they are tied into this org or into this community that we're building.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm not. Yeah.
What I'd like is for people to sort of be able to do the thing that Stoffel's talking about and sort of wander in and wander out as they feel like. But if that's our, like, overall goal, you still got to have, like, it's basically like, if you're going to have office hours, the person holding the office hours has to be there, or the office hours are meaningless. Who's holding the office hours? That's what we're trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. Like, who is the person that when they come to me or whatever, and they have questions about, hey, I'm a new podcaster. Who do I send them to? Who is that person? That's what, what I'm trying to figure out as far as the stakeholders situation is concerned. I mean, Stovall thinks Europe is out for Net Label Day, and that's good to know. But Net Label Day is like, a big event in the community. It's been around for 10 years. It's well established. So I don't think there's any reason to, move away from that being a focal point. Doesn't mean that Europe can't have, a different day. But, maybe again, last year we kind of did this last minute for Net Label Day prep, but, and, we were trying to see how involved Omar was going to be last year. But I think anything that we do for Net Label Week, we're just going to have to do it outside of, the official Net Label Day site. We can point people to Net Label Day, when the stream is ongoing for that specific day. But we already decided that we were gonna do, a Net Label Week. So, so again, maybe it just starts with one. I mean, in the past, they've been in lots of different places, but maybe we just do one, and then, we say, hey, you can do this too. And that's where it starts. So I don't know. I mean, like maybe we're not ready to split up and have stakeholders yet. So.
Yeah.
But I think if we're not, then we need to like sort of.
But I mean, I still think we can reach out. That's what I guess, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we
just don't know what to reach out with them.
Well,
to.
We've already decided we're doing, a Net Label, from Friday to Friday. So, we can just go ahead and get people involved in that. So, I mean, so the 14th is a Monday next week. So we're talking about, from Friday evening on the 11th through, through the
July,
end of the day on Sunday on the 20th.
Okay.
So,
So we could reach out to musicians and we could say, we'd love to play your Creative Commons music during this. I mean, you know what I mean? We could.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, I think.
But we should be able to say to them, we're also reaching out to fans so that there's going to be an audience for it, right? Maybe, or something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, part of this will depend on, Rhino and the live shows and stuff too, as far as what all we actually end up doing during the Net Label Week. And then, there's questions about whether or not we're going to do events with CCMA and CC Hall of Fame as well. So those are other places where we could do some things, but.
So those are the events essentially, right? So we've got CCCMA, and then Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay. And Omar's handling that label?
Omar is in charge of Net Label Day. and we are just going to let Net Label Day do whatever it wants to do until Omar, wants to like sort of integrate in some way. So we're going to do Net Label Week without him because he's just got too much going on in his life to be involved. So that's just where we're at. So we tried to, like talk to him, integrate last year, and we got, borderline nowhere. So, when we had our Net Label Day debrief, the decision was that we were just going to move forward without Omar. So, we'll be around to help when, if Omar needs us, but we're going to do what we're going to do. That's just where we're at. So, So I don't know, if we're talking about getting people involved and what those people, are going to do, then, maybe, like, so, these were other, put these in yellow, I guess. Like these were other events that I was thinking about putting on. I mean, there's a whole section here about events.
Right.
So, if we need to, talk about them before we can think about having stakeholder orgs, and that's fine. We can start talking about those. I don't know that I have a I wish they had the name up there. Yeah, I don't think I have one for Net Label Week. So, I mean, the global events, it's kind of its own thing, but just as a just a way to think about how we'd get involved. So, it seems like getting people in a single place is, based on previous discussions, is going to be pretty difficult. So we're looking at doing, stuff that week digitally. So I guess, what would be interested in doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, again, like this would be a great place for local people to, to organize shows locally. Maybe that's a place to present, what a local org can do. So if we can get, like 2 or 3 people to say, hey, we're going to put on a local show, for Net Label Week, then, that's a template that people can look at and move to other locations. So, I mean, again, a lot of these tie together. We could have education events, we could have music events. There's all sorts of things that we could do. Um, you know, Omar's got the stream, so it seems like doing things outside of the stream might be like a way to go. Like we could have talks.
Like online or?
Yeah, I mean, I think based on previous discussions, that seems like the only, nobody wants to have local stuff. Nobody wants to travel. Nobody wants to do anything. So,
right.
It seems like online is the only option.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this is because we don't have the money too. But,
well, sure, if we had millions of dollars, then
right. But I'm just saying,
just fly everybody in and
right. But I'm just saying it's a hard thing to say. I'm gonna pay for this event, and
I mean, again, maybe we need to do some fundraisers coming up to it, or maybe Net Label Week is when we do a big fundraiser.
Yeah.
And we do have fundraising as a discussion later.
Just,
Kevin, are there any activities that you would be interested in participating in? Or Jason?
I mean, our advantage is that we have musicians that can put on a show and that people, would want to go to, right? And then with that, we sneak in all the other stuff. So we sneak in education, we sneak in possibly fundraising, we sneak in, I don't know. I mean, that's like an in-person thing, that's like an online thing, that's like a... And then at some point, the org becomes valuable in itself. But until then, it's the bands that are the artists that have that value. Like, I think there is energy behind independent music, but like FC was saying, I don't know that there's energy behind CC music, except for the people already into CC music. So how do we connect the two?
Yeah.
How do we define CC as an integral part of independent?
Well, I mean, if we just want to do, like an online, show on like Saturday. I mean, part of the reason for doing the Net Label Week is because, Net Label Day is on a Monday. So if people want to like do something, they might not want to do it on a Monday. And so we're just trying to, provide people with, the avenue of saying, doesn't have to be right on Net Label Day. Let's, when we had the discussion back in August about this, we talked, there was some discussion about doing Net Label Month, but we thought Net Label Week was probably the easiest thing to do there. I don't know if that discussion's still on here for people that want to go back and review that. I think it is. So maybe it's just on. Yeah, there we go. So it's the Net Label Day debrief. That's when we talked about all of that. So I don't remember who was there for that talk, but
that's definitely something I'm going to have to go back to. Just touching upon what happened last year, I'm about 6.5 months removed from my Net Label Day radio debut. And I recently went back and revisited that. I played music for 2 hours in between two different broadcasters, one of them being Beware the Radio, who came after me. In revisiting it, I was really happy with what I was able to present to people, pulling from the FMA, pulling from Bandcamp and some other spaces, just trying to get what I thought was a well-rounded collection of sounds to present to people, to champion independent music, to champion independent artists and those who embraced releasing music to the world through Creative Commons licenses. If I have any strengths in this area of CC music presentation, I suppose it's, just me being a selector. So, I think that's the thing that I can offer. But the way in which I did it, as far as the Net Label Day radio stream is concerned, was just that. It was going live from my home for 120 minutes in front of a microphone, going back and forth between two media players and representing for the music as best I could, trying to find some things that might surprise people in terms of who they could possibly find within the world of Creative Commons, and occasionally coming upon some people that they actually might know. So where Net Label Week 2025 is concerned, for those sections of promotion and advocacy that would take place online, maybe there's a focus that's free form in nature. Maybe there's a focus that's specifically on a net label that you really ride for. Maybe there are moments where you can focus on a particular artist who maybe has released to the world under several different pseudonyms, such as an Eddie Palmer. He shows up as Cloud Warmer. He shows up as half of Fields, Ohio. He shows up as half of the Fucked Up Beat. He's doing all of these different things. Maybe there's a singer-songwriter section. Maybe there's an electronic producer section. You could split up a number of different ways in terms of what you're comfortable with presenting and how you present. Not sure if anybody notices, but me getting in front of a webcam is it's still kind of foreign for me. And I tend to be really, really comfortable when I'm presenting things. I'm primarily a voice. So showing up and debuting on through Net Label Day Radio was a privilege and an honor for me, because it was my voice that got to lead people through this experience. I'm still wrapping my head around the connection challenges here where I am, as far as, you know, getting in front of the camera and being comfortable with not just my voice, but the face guiding people through a moment where we nestle ourselves within the world of Creative Commons and what you can learn within it. But I think, you know, as far as Net Label Week is concerned, I do want to make sure that people come away with the idea that it's all of this is bigger than July 14th. And it's one of the things that I try to stress upon people towards within the last hour of my broadcast on that day last year, that it's bigger than just the day, that these are releases that we should continue to go back to throughout the year. All of it's not something that we're going to be able to ingest and sit with and experience within the course of 24 hours. Great music is something that we should be able to come back to time and time again, long after the day has come and gone. And that's one of the things that I've impressed upon, or at least tried to impress upon people. And I think hopefully one of the things that can come out of something like Net Label Week is people hopefully being able to be comfortable enough to get in where they fit in, whatever their gift area is, whatever their level of interest is, and to be able to present the thing that they're excited about. I'm excited about diving in about music and trying to find things. To that extent, there's one of the resources that someone posted on the Friends of CC Music page, where it's a way to filter on releases that you can find on Bandcamp according to the license, according to the genre, according to the subgenre. And I tried playing around with that, and it's liable to be my new best friend coming up within the next couple of weeks to months, because I just played around with it once and found some things that I didn't even realize were Creative Commons releases. Like, I knew about the artist, I knew that the album had come out. There were some things that came out on labels like Stone's Throw or Ghostly International that I am quite fond of, but just wasn't aware that those things had been released under CC licenses. So that's more, you know, that's more ammunition within the sonic weaponry that you can unleash upon people and share with them, and have that be something that they could experience that, you know, maybe they weren't hip to already. Yeah, I can only speak about this from my limited area of experience, and really it's just about me wanting to share some music with people in a way that I'm comfortable with doing, and I think I'm best at doing. It's going to be different for other people depending upon what their level of comfort is, and really what it is that they are, what excites them most, what gets them out of bed in the morning when it comes to this music, what excites them about the idea of music being a way to foster community, be it in real life or online, be it online or offline. What's the best way in which to do it? Rhino seems to be pretty comfortable with the idea of inviting people to his home or inviting people to a spot and being able to throw on a live show and have that be something that's a communal experience that people enjoy together. I'm one of those people who tends not to get out all that much, but I'm looking online for various platforms, various net labels, various collectives, various artists who are making music that take me to different places that I haven't been yet. So that's how I engage. You know, that may not necessarily be for everyone, but I do think the more time that I spend on Mastodon, the more that I get the sense that there's people who want to embrace the concept of human curation again. They're trying to find ways to escape the influence of algorithms constantly telling us what it is that we should enjoy. They're in the midst of making various platforms or online avenues, you know, through various different open source experiments to see what can happen when we bring human curation back into this again. Maybe there's a way that we can play a part in that, and hopefully, you know, Net Label Week might be one of those things in how we do it. I'm not sure how many people have been. No, please go ahead, Doug.
Well, so I'm thinking about like how we turn what you're saying into like, you know, something actionable. And I wonder if, again, like we have the stream, presumably Omar's going to do again, you know, he'll start it when the Marshall Islands or whoever it is, Cook Islands, maybe that whoever starts off the day, you know, start with them and then they'll go all the way to Hawaii or whoever's last. I don't remember. So, you know, it ends up being 51 hours, if I recall.
Yep.
And so, you know, that basically starts the stream on Sunday for us. And then that means, you know, Saturday is kind of, you know, and Friday night maybe is kind of a free day for us. So I have an idea, but before we talk about that, I want to talk about some of the previous things that have been tried. Well, I was gonna say, you know, this CCMA aligning with Net Label was something that was tried, but we didn't even really get as far as trying because people struggled to wrap their heads around having an awards, you know, mid-year. So I don't know, maybe that is something that we could bring back to Net Label Day / Net Label Week and try it again now that, you know, we have a different group of people that are involved. You know, potentially that's something we could talk about when we talk about the CCMA later, but we've got 12 minutes here that I suppose we could talk about that. So that's, you know, the one thing that, you know, was an idea for coalescing around Net Label Day. The other thing was, when I started talking about, having a yearly event and placing it on Net Label Day. I mean, so I guess with the CCMA, I wanted to have like a physical space where some number of people got together, and had like real awards. I mean, we talked about sending out like, some sort of certificate or something, like Sound Chaser talked about that for a while. Dom talked about that for a while, and both of those guys have fallen off the map. I'm not really sure what's going on with either one of them these days. But like really have like a presentation, like we would have an event like the Grammys where there's some music, there's some presentation. It's a time when we can get together. That was always my vision, but I couldn't get people to really help make that happen. And so I had a similar sort of idea with the global events and moving those around. But I think, I've always thought when we had those, we needed to have some sort of like conference component to it, like get together and share ideas. And I think doing that in physical space is probably ideal, but we're not there yet. But I think, we could do that. I think we need to do something separate than just like a stream, because Omar's already doing that. I kind of don't see the point of adding like an extra day to that. Like do something on Saturday, and then we can say, yeah, tomorrow the stream starts, and then go check out the stream. So, we could have talks like, we could have what is a net label, like we could have people, either Q&As or just a talk. Like we could, it wouldn't have to be like all net label stuff. It could be like, check out my new turntable, or I don't know all the words. Check out my new mixing board. And then we could have a place for people to share, the things that they've been working on, or like in this case, like check out Mirlo. I mean, there's a bunch of things popping up, slash fair camp. I don't even know what all of them are. There's be your own site. I think it's be your own .site maybe, or is it be your own platform .site? I'm not sure what it is, but we could have a place for people rather than just like posting it on Mastodon and then you either see it or you don't. We have a place for people to like present. I mean, this is like a common like conference thing where people will go and say like the new version is released, and they wait until the conference to like release it. So like, we could get, Mirlo or Faircamp or whatever to like, they drop a big, funk whale. That's another one, like that could be a place where people to like make a big announcement, and get up on the virtual stage and talk about, what's new in the new version and stuff. We might be a little bit behind, the timeline as far as July at this point, for somebody to think about like scheduling a new release, but that might be something that, maybe it works for their timeline. And again, I sort of didn't present it on here as the new one. I said just check out, so it could be an introduction to those sorts of things. I mean, would that be useful if we scheduled a half day of talks or something like that? Would that be interesting?
Within Net Label Week itself, that could be useful if we have some firm if we have some firm topics from the, from the introductory to the intermediate,
Yeah.
and we have some people who, are definitely keen on going in on those topics. When you have somebody who can take a particular question about something and can talk about it all day, that's certainly will lend itself to building the excitement around a topic or a subtopic to present to folks, to hopefully get some Q&A, some call and response on the the platform upon which it takes place, and to build some interest in terms of what possibly could also take place throughout the week.
So there's a thing called FETI Forum, and so they have it more than once a year. They have so it's like a conference, and you could look it up, but I did it. I was on there one time. So you go in and like everybody's, there's tons of different windows or whatever it is, huge list of different people. So you have this kind of intro thing, and then people can sign up for like different, presentations. And so it's like a conference, except it's an online conference. And so I think something like that would be really valuable to do. So you'd have, the thing is, you've got to get the critical mass, right? So, but like, I could imagine like somebody like Mirlo wants to present, and all these different projects want to present themselves. CC Mixter might want to present something. I think that would all be really, but we've got to get the number of people that would make that, I would think, worth it to them to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've got 5 months to promote something if that's what we want to do. So.
But that's again, I keep coming back to the thing of like, if I were to reach out to a musician and say, hey, we're doing this thing, we're this organization, and we're going to try to have these events, what am I getting them to sign up to, right? How am I going to like make sure that I hit them in the future, or that future things come up?
I mean, right now we're not talking about the future. We're talking about July 12th. Like maybe July 12th, maybe after Net Label Week, we just decide this is all stupid. We gotta do something.
Right. No, but like, so I guess I'm just wondering how this is going to happen again, connection with Omar and all that. But
forget about Omar. Omar's not involved.
Okay, but when he was trying to get the sign up for Net Label Day, what I did is I went through, I'm trying to remember where I got it from, but I went and I emailed a ton of these different people, and I said, I had kind of a set email that I would send to them. And then I said, contact him. So that was the thing. But I don't have that but then and I said, oh, are you also interested in CC Music? And yeah, but I didn't have a thing to give to them to say, well, we're going to put you on this list, or we're going to join this group, or and that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what do I do with that? Because, you can give,
I mean, I think for
this is the list to reach out to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for this, we gotta focus on people that might be giving talks.
Right.
So, if they're not already involved, then.
But don't we also have to think about people who might be interested in the talks? Like,
I mean, we gotta organize the event and like make sure there's talks first. Like once we have an event and we have a schedule of presenters, then we can go and promote it. But
if we get these people and then there's one person in the room, there's the three of us in the room, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, they won't come back. But I mean, that's.
Okay.
I mean, we're not like, we can't guarantee, like there will be 100 people at this. Like we don't have that, you know, like this is the first one, you know, so that's what we can tell them, you know, we're getting started, but you know, Net Label Day has been around for 10 years. So, you know,
Right.
when we do our, you know, Net Label Week tags on social media, we can tag Net Label Day too, so people can see them together. And that's the whole point of doing it then, is that Net Label Day is already there. It's like part of the Net Label Day festivities, but they're not happening on Net Label Day. So we're trying to provide some like ideas to people that, you know, they can do things outside of Net Label Day. We're sort of giving them the soft push. You know, oh yeah, it's not just on Monday. You know, sort of the Net Label Day is every day sort of thing. But you gotta start small, you know. So you know, and I mean, you know, maybe, you know, as part of that, hey, we need to promote this as an event, like we might need to have like a call, like a talk submission deadline. Perhaps. I don't know when that'll be, but we got, I don't know if anybody's going to be coming back for the IRS filing. But I think this is probably going to tie in to these three discussions. And honestly, I don't know how much we're going to have to say about the steering committee. So we might come back to this then, but let's go ahead and take our break, and we'll get back started in 5 minutes here.
Okay.